I am going to try to play a video and just yell at me if the sound is terrible, because we'll just stop and not waste people's time. And it looks like there's
exactly why you do the things you do. What this week is about.
We help Terrell making decisions by giving him his options, whatever that may be. And if we need to show him any kind of pictures to help make that decision, we do that.
It's part of his growth, it's part of his development to become more independent as an adult instead of always relying on us. I think he's gained more confidence, especially since he started working at Advanced. Like this weekend, he stayed 3 days at his house. This past week, he stayed 3 days at his house by himself. He got up on his own, he got his food ready, got his clothes together, got dressed, and got prepared to go to work all by himself. He was actually up and ready ahead of time, which was quite surprising. I mean, he was sitting there waiting for the ride to get there.
We're proud of him. We're less stressed. It's good to just see him go on with his life, and then we go on with our life, and you know he's okay.
Just like any other person, they have strengths and weaknesses too. And we found out in a special needs person that their strengths are sometimes amplified more and their weaknesses are amplified more. So you have to find that balance where we can step in and help him in those weak moments, and when he has to make those tough decisions where he doesn't understand, then we have to come in and say, hey, we can help you here. And putting the right people around them is essential.
As they get older, they want to listen to other people. But I think we've made it a point through the years to surround ourselves with people that are there for his good.
You're gonna have some failures, you know, you're gonna have some successes, but you have to go through that. That experience helps both you and them. It's very important that you walk this journey together so you're both growing.
Always include them in whatever decision it is. Present it to them in a way that they will understand. They understand a lot more than we realize.
Okay, so that was
Hey everybody, Governor Bill Lee here.
That was a video we wanted to show you that we recorded with some parents who had been told they needed conservatorship and really worked hard to look at all their other options, and we're grateful that they did. Their son has an intellectual disability. And of course, on our site, we also have success stories about people who are conservators and are using supported decision making in the way that Penny described, which is for things that the conservatorship doesn't cover. So a wide range, and we're really looking forward to your comments and questions about the website. We'll give you a few more, a little more information, and then we're going to ask for some discussion. So the website that you just saw officially launched in June 2021. It explains conservatorship in plain language and also cites Tennessee code. We put on the conservatorship page that we showed you conservatorship best practices according to the National Guardianship Association. I know there's a session later today on best practices. We want to keep building that out. Our goal would be to have guides that parents who become conservators can download, and we want to work with you on developing that type of thing. We have had hundreds of phone inquiries, and this is outdated. Just yesterday, we realized that we have had about 8,000 website visits since the launch of the center, about 3,000 last month. So it's getting a lot of traffic. A bulk of that is from other states that are interested in this. Our national networks, as we mentioned at the beginning, are really interested in supported decision-making and decision-making in general. Several states have passed supported decision-making laws, and now are expressing interest in this type of website that is more general, just information sharing. So we wanted to give you some examples of these inquiries that we're getting. These are kind of frequently asked questions. So I did not know I had other options. I was told I had to get a conservatorship to be included in my son or daughter's education and medical decisions. Can you explain how that works? So that's a frequently asked question. My conservator is elderly or has deceased. I cannot be conservator any longer. Can you help us find a new conservator to put in place? This, I know Penny is dealing with right now with several people. I am getting older and I'm concerned what will happen to my son or daughter when I pass and can't take care of them. I am their conservator now, but do not have anyone to take over when I cannot do it any longer. I need a conservator or a special needs trust or some sort of future planning for my loved one, but I live on a fixed income and I cannot afford to get an attorney. Can you help me? This is where we lean on that directory that we want your help building. Can you help me find an attorney, and is there a way I can get help? This is the same sort of thing. We would look to that directory that we're trying to build. What can I do to help someone who needs a conservatorship but does not have any family or natural supports to be the conservator? This includes a conservator who's no longer able to serve. So how do we find those willing and appropriate people who can step in as conservators? So here is where we want to discuss with you how we can connect the work of this center with the work of the Conservatorship Association of Tennessee. And so we're going to throw out a few ideas that we've come up with, and we really want to hear from you. First of all, we'd love your help connecting people to the Center for Decision-Making Support. If you get questions from people that seem to fit, that the information would be valuable, please help us connect people. Help us understand and address conservatorship issues, trends, and best practices. We are seeing a lot of inquiries. We'd love to have a chance to discuss those with you, look at the trends together, think about how to address what's going wrong, and then elevate what's going right with best practices. Partner to create a best practice guide. We would love, like I said earlier, to have some really simple to read guides on our website. We know the National Governors Association has, the National Guardianship Association has a guide. We'd love to have one for Tennessee, or a companion to the longer guide that has some Tennessee specific information. And conservatorship attorneys, join this legal directory, help us make sure that we can point people to you and to conservatorship attorneys across the state when people do ask us for help connecting. So this is where we would love for you to use the chat or come off. I'm hoping that participants are allowed to come off mute. Cam, Penny, do you have anything to add?
I can't really think anything. Sorry, Cam.
No, you're fine, Penny. I was just going to add that as far as the directory of attorneys that we can reach out to when people do inquire and they need information, we really would like to see a lot of enthusiasm behind that. We have people who reach out all the time. I know Penny and I were working on a situation last week. Sadly, somebody had gotten a tragic accident and was brain dead, and they needed a conservator ASAP. And what we were able to do from the list of names that we do have so far on our attorney was pull 5 different references for this family to start out with. And if those didn't work, then we had even more that we could come back to. So please, please, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We're incredibly honored, and we are thankful to be able to present to you guys today. And we really look so forward to working with you guys and making this just a powerhouse and making Tennessee really the example for the whole country.
I'm just responding to a chat question. Here's our contact information. Cameron Hurt, who was just speaking, what is the person who is with Disability Rights Tennessee and putting together that directory. He and Penny share access to it. So either any of us can get your information to the directory, but Cameron would be the best direct contact. So glad you asked.
I also want to acknowledge that also at DRT, I serve as the paralegal for decision-making supports. But our chief attorney for decision-making supports, Elisa Hertzen, is actually in attendance today. So we definitely wanted to give her acknowledgement. And she's our full-time on-staff decision-making supports attorney. And she's also working on the best practice guide with respects to conservatorship over the body. And if you reached out to me, I could definitely put you in contact with her if you would like to partner with her on that.
Hey, Cameron, this is Jennifer Shepard. Can you put your email address, like type it into the chat box so that when this screen goes away, people can still come back and find your email address?
Yes, ma'am. I'll do that right now.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? We're really eager to hear reactions, ideas, feedback. Hard when we're not in person.
This is Jennifer again. I'll ask a quick question. The last slide, or maybe 2 slides ago, one of the things you mentioned is that you would, you guys are interested in hearing about best practices, and could that information, how would that information be shared? What specifically are you looking for? Like, one of the things, we have a 45 minute long video on CAT's website. I think it's called the Golden Rules, or the 5 Golden Rules of Conservatorship. And, we go over some of the highlights of best practices over serving as conservator over person and property. Is there something specific that you guys are looking for? I mean, that we could help you with?
That would be great to review the video. What we hear most often is, I didn't know what it meant to be a conservator when I got the conservatorship papers, or I learned everything I know based on the attorney who helped me, and it was only about managing finances. So we want to help people know where their role begins and ends with conservatorship, how to empower the person to make as many decisions as is appropriate and possible, and to understand what Tennessee law says and doesn't say, just sort of the basics. And so it sounds like we could and have a very easy to read 1-page sort of guide, so that if someone's completely overwhelmed and doesn't feel like they have time to go into depth on reading the law and needs to just kind of get started, they can know the bullet points. Sort of like, it sounds like we could review your video and take some stuff from there.
Well, are you guys looking, if we were to condense it down to 1 page, like simplify it to 1 page, are you looking for stuff that's specific to conservator over person only? Or would you like it to try to get person and property on 1 page?
I think we were thinking about person because the property is a little bit more technical, and so I think person was at least what we were going to start with.
Okay.
So it sounds like we might be able to call you, Jennifer, and maybe work with you. We would love to co-brand and really have a partnership that's beyond our expertise in conservatorship on this kind of thing.
Yeah, you're welcome to will you also just type your email address into the chat
Absolutely.
box, and I'll email you, and we can see what we can do to help you guys. Maybe we can come up with a 1-page, like, frequently asked question.
Oh, that sounds
format.
great. And Elisa, chime in, and Cam, please chime in. You guys are at DRT are going to be actually making this.
Yeah, I think again, adding certain components where Lauren definitely expressed like where we wanted to come from a family side as well. Ultimately, you would like this guide to be expensive enough, though. What we've seen in the first year of our grant is sometimes just professional ignorance and not knowing what comes up next. You see it with teachers and trying to understand what happens when a student turns 18 and is on and does have an IEP, excuse me. We see it with sometimes medical professionals being unclear as to what they are actually supposed to put in certain forms and how in-depth it is and what comes next for it, and have asked for more information. So we definitely want the guide to be the best practice guide to be very encompassing at the end of the day. I think a one-pager to start out is definitely like how we get it going, but ultimately something that can be encompassing and can be used for families and professionals as well as when they're looking at conservatorship or anything like that.
Okay.
Thank you, Cam, and thank you, Jennifer and Lauren and Penny. And this is Elisa. I'm just going to chime in and say what a great presentation it is. And Jennifer, thank you so much for offering the help. And I know that we get a lot of questions about whether a full conservatorship is appropriate or whether something less than a full conservatorship is appropriate. And how does a family make that decision? And if they decide to go with something less than a full conservatorship, how do they incorporate some of these supported decision-making tools that we've discussed today, allowing the individual as much decision-making as possible, preferences, decision-making, autonomy. I mean, as we all know from Matter of Groves, the seminal case, you know, capacity is fluid. So how do we help these families choose what is best for their loved one? That's my comment, and thank you.
Whoops. I'm not trying to cut off discussion here, but I did just think about how nice the comment is to see that we'll be, at least one attendee will be sharing the site personally and professionally. If you're not comfortable chiming in today, we do have a brief survey. Just, you know, what did you think of this? Will you be using it? And your feedback will really help us understand how we can do better and what the reaction is from the CAT audience. So we hope everyone will fill out the survey. I will see if I can put it in the chat here too. But are there other questions and comments?
Lauren, I want to just also throw out there, I don't know how, I mean, since I know many of you are attorneys, another thing to kind of follow up with what Cam and Elisa were saying is not only do we need advice or recommendations relating to conservatorship. I mean, I know that's a project they're working on, but just information, someone that we can go to, we can call when we're talking about other legal supports as well, like questions about healthcare surrogates or power of attorney or durable power of attorney, because a lot of times when people call, you know, I can share that information, the general information with them, but they still struggle with, well, I'm just not sure where that falls. I'm not sure, you know, this person, my loved one may be able to do this, but not that. And how do I determine that? I mean, I can give them the tool to help guide them some, but a lot of times they still need more a deeper understanding on evaluating those, how durable power of attorney or some of these other legal supports work. So that's another way that those of you who work in that area as well could be really helpful to the center, is to be able to share that advice, or even, you know, if we have questions, occasionally be able to call and share that with us so that we all become more educated on where we can refer people and making sure that they're getting the full information that they need. Not just, I mean, the website gives us the basic, but when people really need a lot more, we want to make sure that they're getting access to that. And just to kind of follow up on like the question about the financial part, I will say, I know Cam and I both refer a lot of people to the Office of Conservatorship Management, and Amy's the training on there is amazing. And I know Amy has helped us out with a lot of stuff and a lot of questions that we have. So again, we really want y'all to give us your suggestions, be willing, whoever is willing to share with us information or even answer questions so that we can make sure that whatever we give out to individuals is correct information and it's not biased one way or another. We're just sharing with them the information they need or getting them to the resources that can give them that information.
Well, if there aren't any questions or discussion, we really appreciate the opportunity to be here today and that you guys invited this information. I hope you all take Penny up on her request to connect with you all and make sure that we're getting people to the resources that they need when they do come to us. So use our contact information. It's here on the slide. We will be happy to share the slides. You can share them as widely as you want, and we can give you all back a few minutes if there are no other questions.